Yeah, hi, I'm Sharath Srinivasan. I'm the co-founder and director of Africa's Voices Foundation. It's a non-profit organisation with offices in Cambridge and in Kenya. So the Well Told Story is a Kenya-based organisation. They're a social change multimedia organisation focused on Kenya's youth, and they've got a huge following. About 500,000 Kenyan youth who engage with their platforms in diverse ways. And they focus on a range of topics from governance and engagement in elections to sexual and reproductive health, agriculture, jobs and livelihoods. So it all started in about 2014 when we met, and they had a really compelling challenge for us. Their engagement was so effective that they had over hundreds of thousands of SMS messages that were coming in from young people, and they really wanted to get a sense and understanding of that conversation that they were having and get some insights into how their narratives and their stories were being received and how they could be shaped to be more effective by better understanding what young people were thinking and saying. So as you can imagine, this huge amount of engagement is really exciting but also really daunting. And one of the basic problems is that the messages and the data that they get from these messages is unstructured, it's in local languages, and so it poses a whole set of new challenges. One of the things that they do really well is allow young Kenyans to speak as they want to speak, as if they're speaking to their peer group. And that means specifically that they're often speaking in a slang language called Sheng. It's a mixture of Swahili and English, and it's very fast changing. So one of the first challenges is actually working with that kind of data set, in effect, and trying to understand specific themes and topics that you can research from that data. When Well Told Story started out, it was really after the 2007-2008 Kenyan elections, in which there'd been a large amount of electoral violence, and they really felt and sensed this lack of engagement, a lack of inclusion of young people's voices in what was happening around that time. And around that time, it was, and still is, was really valuable for them to engage with young people through media that made sense. And so they started with comics, and the whole Shujaaz platform, which is the core of what they do, is all about young Kenyan characters who can be identified with by Kenyan youth. And they distributed these comics for free. Now it's upwards of 1 million comics per month, and that go all across the country. And that was a way to ensure that their media content was actually reaching young Kenyans in schools, etc. These comics circulated a lot as well. And what they were then able to do is introduce a free short code SMS that allowed Kenyans to not necessarily answer questions, but to engage with the stories and to engage with the characters. And this took off very rapidly. Coming to TICTeC has been great. I think we were drawn to it because of conversations we'd had with others, including some colleagues at the Hewlett Foundation, about how this had a unique formula of allowing for enough space for discussion and debate and for new ideas to flow, but also bringing together people from the tech community, from I think from social change organisations of diverse kinds. I guess for me what's really striking about this is that civic tech is a lot more civic than it is tech, and that really what you find here is an ethos, a spirit, a sense of purpose, which, despite the very diverse ways in which people then implement that and go about doing their work, binds them together and allows them to share experiences and ideas in ways that are really profitable. So for me, lots of opportunities to connect with people who I wouldn't have expected could be valuable to our work in the future, but also just to be, I guess, inspired again by the work that we do, and you go back into your own sort of silos or your daily projects to have a sense of purpose that reaches far beyond it.